You are watching the Notre Dame recruiting update. We are back. Trey Yanity and Mike Singer joining you each and every Friday. Excited to be with you guys today as we continue to navigate the month of February. Obviously, a lot of coaching buzz surrounding Notre Dame. We got the chance to talk about that last week. Going to get into some more discussion. Want to get into a discussion with you guys as well. So please get in our comment section. Let us know where you're watching from today and let us know what you think about Notre Dame football in this point in time. And guys, while you're at it, please hit the like button for me. And if you've not already, subscribe to our channel here at Blue and Gold. You're going to have to get in those comments, so make sure you do that as well. And while we're at it, $29.99, that is all you need to get access to blueandgold.com all the way until the football season for a year of coverage that is there as well. So be sure to check it out, blueandgold.com. Mike, the spring is not necessarily here quite yet. I know we're living a little bit below the Mason-Dixon line, so it's starting to feel like it. The warm weather is on the way, but obviously the spring will bring quite a few showers along with quite a few big visitors to South Bend, Indiana. That's where we're going to start today. Excited to talk about those guys. Excited to talk about maybe some long shots as well, some guys that could really put a bolt of energy into this 2024 class. And I know you had a mock class out as well this past Monday. Going to talk about that some. But as we get into the show, Mike, how you doing this Friday? And what are your thoughts on this crazy month of February for Notre Dame?
Dude, great intro. You really hit on a lot of bases there. I mean, it's 75 degrees where I'm at. I know up in South Bend, it's about 29 degrees, which I think is pretty decent for the month of February. Trey, I'm doing all right. Excited for today's show. Our Friday recruiting show is back, and it's been great these past few weeks. So how about this, Trey? I just passed out at 9:30 last night, which is never good for me. Woke up at 1:30, wide awake. I was up from 1:30 to like 8:30. And then I just woke up at about an hour before the show. I went back to sleep. So just kind of one of those crazy days for me, Trey. Anytime I go to bed before 10 o'clock, that's what happens.
Well, Mike, you should have just reached out to our friends at the Rogue Shop. Not going to talk about them too much today, but they would have helped you get right back to sleep. But Mike, there's a lot to keep you awake right now with everything going on, with these promotions and OC search, and obviously a lot of conversation about what it's going to look like for not just Notre Dame this upcoming football season, but the guys that have left the program. We're going to have a video out later today on our YouTube channel talking about the reaction to some of that stuff and what it's going to mean. But this show is about recruiting, Mike, and I'm excited to talk about what is to come for these visits here. Let's go rapid fire. Let's break it down, talk about some of these guys that you're most excited to see coming to visit Notre Dame here in the spring. And let's start it out with the linebacker, Cole Sullivan. Sullivan out of Central Catholic High School, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, listed as an athlete at 6'4", 200 pounds. Some schools in the area, Pittsburgh, Kent State, West Virginia, all on his list, but Notre Dame right in the mix there as well.
Yeah, so he's got a visit locked in to get to South Bend, and the date for that one, folks, is weekend of March 31st. So, pretty big deal for Notre Dame to get him on campus. This is going to be, I believe, his second time. He was also, in South Bend to see the Cal game, I want to say. And I had a source told me at that point that, hey, don't be surprised if Cole Sullivan gets an offer from Notre Dame. And I think at that point he didn't have like any offers. So he did end up getting the good news from the Irish staff in January. And he's blown up recently. I tweeted the other day, I don't have it pulled up, but something like 15 schools have offered him just in since the turn of the new year or something. Like, the kid has just seen his recruiting stock soar. And, this is a school that is pretty familiar to Notre Dame, Pittsburgh Central Catholic, home of Dan Marino, Miami Dolphin great. That's where he attended high school. The Heinisch brothers, Donovan and Kurt, both went there. The Irish are now after Cole Sullivan and, a linebacker. Notre Dame is also recruiting his teammate, Anthony Specca. Specca ended up committing to Penn State. And you have Sullivan, who shares a linebacker group. So Penn State is a recent offer for him. Again, among with many other schools, but I actually did. You mentioned the mock class. I did include Cole Sullivan in the linebacker group. I was told that he's only set up one visit so far, and that's to Notre Dame. And you guys know my mantra, it's follow the visits. So for him to have his only visit set up to Notre Dame so far, it's not like a totally 100% telling thing that that's where he's going to go. But I think that does look good for the Irish that, the only visit he set up so far is to South Bend.
Yeah, I got to try to snag him out of Western Pennsylvania there. We hope that his tap water is not too out of touch with everything going on up there. Let's move it along to the safety, Marquis Gallegos. Marquis, another one of these guys that is out of the West Coast. It's going to be West Hills Chaminade High School. 6'1", 165, a 4-star is rated there on the consensus. A lot of West Coast schools in the mix here, as you can see on his RPM, but Notre Dame, obviously a national brand, they're certainly in the mix as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he hasn't been to campus since the spring game last year. Pretty big to get him back. And I reported about this, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday, at Blue and Gold. His full visit schedule, I mean, the kid's racking up the frequent flyer miles for sure. So Notre Dame being one of those stops is pretty important. Chris O'Leary wants him real bad. Marcus Freeman and O'Leary were at the school in January. Notre Dame offered, I'm like 95% sure that Notre Dame, Quasi Gilmer is his teammate, and that's another huge Irish target in the 2024 class at the receiver position. So, a school of importance now for Notre Dame. Marquis Gallegos, thank you for that was a solid pronunciation, Trey. A big target for the Irish. Offered him a long time ago. Good to get him back on campus. And the date there was April 8th. So March and April are very busy with these spring unofficial visits. You can actually start taking official visits in April. Notre Dame typically doesn't have these high school recruits take official visits in the springtime. They usually just kind of have it in June. Why that is, don't know. But that's what they do. June, I mean, it's pretty much across the board with other colleges too. Like June is much more the official visit weekends. I think it's also easier to get the kids there. You fly them in on Thursday night, and then the visit starts Friday. They don't have to miss school, obviously, because it's over the summer. Whereas you're bringing it in during the spring, it's a little bit more difficult. So, yeah, that's kind of the rundown on Marquis Gallegos. USC, the RPM leader, makes sense. They're the local school. He's visited there, more than any other program. But from what I gather, Notre Dame's a huge contender. Chris O'Leary has done a really good job in this recruitment.
Yeah, always fun to follow these battles between Notre Dame and USC. Obviously, rivals on the field. A lot of these recruiting battles coming down to the rivalry as well. What is up, Joe Bro? We see it in the comments section there. We got Charles. Thank you guys for being here, and share this video as we get into the show today. Help us get it out there. We had our producer, Chris, run to the top of Touchdown Jesus and yell it at the top of his lungs, but I'm not sure that got to as many people as we'd like to here. So hit that like button and share this video for us. But as we continue along, Mike, with these visitors in the spring, and I see you're flexing there, your Liverpool gear.
Yeah, Chris,
yet again.
Yeah. Charles made a comment.
Yep.
Like, okay. Hey, look, I wore my Liverpool shirt last Friday, and they won on Saturday. Big win over Newcastle. So got to keep it going. Even though we'll not talk about the Tuesday game against Real Madrid. We'll just kind of focus on the Prem. And Liverpool, good run of form, as they say. So
yeah, it's been a good run of form, and good luck, I guess, you're trying to bring here to the squad, Mike. But Notre Dame going to need some luck potentially with the quarterback, Cutter Boley. This is a kid that's been extremely interested in the home state school, Kentucky. Shown some interest to Tennessee just down the road as well. This is a top quarterback in the class, top 5 quarterback, number 4. I believe we have him listed here. What's Notre Dame's shot looking like, and what do you know about his visit coming up?
Yeah, well, the visit is following March 25th, which is shaping up to be a really big weekend for the Irish. I believe C.J. Carr, Notre Dame's 2024 quarterback, is also expected to be on campus. So Boley doesn't have an offer from Notre Dame yet. But I would be pretty surprised if he takes this visit to South Bend and then leaves without an offer. We could spend a whole show talking about Tommy Rees as a recruiter at Notre Dame. The success, how hard he recruited. I mean, I'm sure I could get some guys on here to debate that with me, but I wouldn't say he was super aggressive as a recruiter, especially with early offers. Did he offer guys early? Yeah, of course. I mean, in the fall of 2021, I think he offered Ryan Montgomery in the 2025 class of quarterback. So it's not to say he didn't, recruit super early and send out offers, but again, kind of few and far between. So long way to say I do expect Gino Guidugli. Notre Dame's hasn't been officially hired yet as quarterbacks coach in terms of that being announced by the school, but do believe that will happen pretty soon. And then that combination with Jared Parker, I would be pretty surprised if they don't offer Boley. A really good looking quarterback in the 2025 class. Like you said, the number 4 player at that position nationally. He's a darn good player. Look at him, Trey. I mean, if I were like, hey, like this is a senior in high school, like, yeah, he looks the part. He's listed at 6'5", over 200 pounds. Let's just say even that's embellished a little bit. Now let's just say he's 6'4", 190. That's a big quarterback for just going into his junior year of high school, right? He's only halfway through his sophomore year. He's got a fantastic offer list early on. He looks great on film. He goes to a private school. Kind of a lot of the boxes are being checked when you look at this young man. And again, do believe that if he got a little jump pass there, if he takes this trip to Notre Dame, would definitely expect the Irish to offer him.
Yeah, this would be a huge get for Notre Dame. And like you said, 25, you look down the road here. As we kind of talk about that real quick, Mike, do you think that this past year was a learning lesson for Notre Dame and the way they recruit the quarterback? Like you said, different coaches now and, maybe a different mentality, but that was something we stressed about on this show. And I know Notre Dame fans stressed about all over the country, not having, that quarterback. Have they used this year to kind of say, well, let's get way ahead of this?
It's a good question, Trey. Well, part of me is thinking, well, the guy who was running the show on that, Tommy Rees, is gone. So it's like Gino Guidugli's your new quarterbacks coach, and so it's a different guy kind of running the show. Of course, Marcus Freeman makes the ultimate decisions there. It is his show at Notre Dame in general, but I don't, what Guidugli is like as a recruiter. I've written an extensive article on that at Blue and Gold, I want to say last Wednesday or so. But in terms of like seeing it myself, I haven't done that yet. I haven't covered them. So hard to say, Trey. It's hard to say. I think, yeah, you want that quarterback intact as early as possible. But in terms of what they learned from the 2023 cycling quarterback and how they'll implement that moving forward, I don't know. Because they did get CJ Carr super early. CJ Carr is committed to Notre Dame before his junior season at the same time as this whole debacle in 2023 was going on. And of course, it ended up ending very strongly in Kenny Minchie. But yeah, it's hard to say if they've learned anything. It's a good question, though.
Yeah, it's maybe my one of the day here. The coffee's still kicking in from this morning, but it's going to be really interesting to watch, the way they recruit this position with these new coaches and, the way that Tommy Rees now goes on and will try to do so in the SEC. I know a lot of fans are eager to, to see how that turns out down there.
The quarterback position for Notre Dame in the first time in a while is just so freaking good.
It's so deep.
Seriously, folks. Sam Hartman as your 1-year rental. Talking about if Buckner is your backup quarterback this fall, it's one of the most talented QB2s in the country, right?
With experience.
Yeah, and he's got experience. Battled injury and missed some games, but still he's got some good experience. QB3, Steve Angeli, who's going to win like 4 Heismans at some point. Joking, but I do love Steve Angeli. I think that's a fan. Kenny Minchie, Ron Paulus as your practice arm quarterback. It's a really good quarterback room. Sam Hartman, ACC all-time leader in passing touchdowns. Again, the Buckner athleticism. Steve Angeli, from what I've told, has been doing really good at practice. Really surprising the Notre Dame staff from what I've been told, just coming along really well. I mean, he was an Under Armour All-American. Minchie was an All-American Bowl guy. Buckner was invited to the Under Armour All-American game. That game got canceled to COVID. So you just got all these All-Americans just all over your quarterback room. And then, yeah, Sam Hartman. I mean, I think he wasn't highly ranked coming out of high school, but that doesn't matter anymore. I think he's one of the top transfers, in the offseason. I mean,
he's done all right.
Pretty good-looking quarterback room, Trey.
Well, Mike, and we see a whole new era of the transfer portal, and a lot of schools going about it one way or the other. Do you expect, and I won't get into any more hypotheticals, but,
No, bring them on, Trey. I love the hypotheticals.
I'm a fan, too. I know some people don't like to get caught up, but a year from now, are all these guys still on the roster? Obviously, Hartman moves on, but, are you able to keep around these guys with that much talent in one room?
The late, great Lou Smoji, the favorite person I've ever worked with. Trey, you're going to have to be a second here. He always wrote about this at Blue and Gold. It's like it was something like over a 46-year span, Notre Dame had 23 quarterbacks transfer. Like Lou Smoji, for our younger audience, maybe you didn't read him growing up. I know our older audience, you did. Like Lou Smoji's just the goat of Notre Dame football coverage. Like the guy just knew everything basically. So like him, like the way he just did all this research was crazy to me. I learned so much just from working with him and reading from him or reading his content. But yeah, it was something like that. Where it's like every 2 or 3 years, Notre Dame just historically has a quarterback transfer, and it just makes sense. If you're a couple years in and a young guy passes you up, or the path to the depth chart or that QB1 spot is just not looking good, and you're like, man, if this trends the way it's going, I'm not a starter until my 5th year or something, like you typically bounce. So you just had Drew Pine transfer. So there was one. The last transfer before that would have been Dracovic in what was that been 2020 or so. So you're kind of still following that trend. Now, by that trend, Notre Dame probably doesn't lose one this season, but this is totally my opinion, folks. Okay, this is Mike Singer talking. If I'm Tyler Buckner and I'm not the guy, like, am I waiting for another year? Like he obviously wasn't the guy's a freshman. He was as a sophomore. Like this was his offense. He gets hurt. He's healthy now. Has an up and down bowl game, and then Notre Dame goes and gets a transfer quarterback to be, to take his QB1 role. Am I staying? Then you can ask the question, well, who's going to take him? Well, Mike Goolsby asked that question about Drew Pine. Drew Pine's now, I mean, he swore, Goolsby and others swore, oh my gosh, Drew Pine's a Division III quarterback. No, he's a P5 guy at Arizona State. So, like, I think there's a market for Tyler Buckner. So, I mean, he's definitely, like San Diego State at the low end. Like I think that, UCLA on the high end, something like that. So there's definitely there would be a market out there for him, but don't want to wish that at all. Like Notre Dame's a much better football team with Tyler Buckner as it's, on its roster for sure. He's a very talented kid. But that's kind of my thought. Like if it's just not, if he's not clicking with it this spring, like, does he go? I don't know. It'll be really interesting.
Well, yeah, I was going to say real quick, do they all make it through this second portal window even?
Yeah, that's the question. Yeah, because you can't the whole new portal thing is really interesting because if I'm just a player right now and I'm so upset, but you can't, there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe in a month from now, you feel better about your spot. So yeah, transfer portal's closed. It opens up in what, like May, early May or something? I don't know. Yeah, these things are always changing. Yeah. Something like that. So that would be Notre Dame spring games with the 22nd. So we'll see how that goes. But the quarterback, I mean, it's just always so interesting to watch during spring ball. And I mean, last year's was a really interesting quarterback battle. We all knew it was going to be Buckner, but it was still like a really interesting, just like going to spring practices and watching that. It's going to be even more so this year with all of the arms that they have in the stable.
Yeah, no doubt. And, it's going to be fun to watch what Drew Pine does at another Power 5 school
Yeah.
here. I agree. I think Buckner, if he decides Notre Dame is no longer the fit, I think he certainly could end up somewhere else in the P5. But before we move on, Mike, let's get back to the recruits here. The tight
Yeah,
end,
sorry.
Jaden
We'll
Riddell,
get back to
another
the
one of
straight
these
and narrow.
big-time spring visitors out
Yep.
of Raymore, Missouri. Tight end, 6'4", 224. What do we need to know about his visit?
Huge visit. I mean, On3 has him ranked as the number 1 tight end nationally. So, like, when you look at Notre Dame and the tight ends they signed over the years, like for Notre Dame being a tight end U contender, not a ton of like these borderline 5-star guys. I mean, Michael Mayer was that in the 2020 class, but the Kane Barong Mitchell Evans combo in 2021, not super highly ranked. 2022 was Holden Stays and Eli, both highly ranked guys, but not like borderline like 5-star guys, like top, couple tight ends nationally. 2023 Cooper Flanagan, again, solid 4-star guy, but not one of the top 2 or 3 tight ends in the country. You kind of want to see Notre Dame get, and even in the 24 class, Jack Larson, probably top 10 tight end nationally, but to bring Riddell on campus On3's number 1 tight end, I mean, that's a big deal. He plays on the same 7-on-7 team as CJ Carr, which is a side note. The Carr's been kind of quiet, with all this coaching news. From what I'm told, it's just kind of overwhelming. Not only all the reporters hitting him up, but all the coaches. Like, these coaches looking for a 2024 quarterback, they see Reese leave. It's, shark smelling blood in the water kind of deal. So I think Carr's just kind of taking a step away from talking in a sense and just kind of focus on his business. But I'm told that Carr is going to be on campus for the weekend of March 25th with Jaden Riddell. I mean, that's big. They play on the same 7-on-7 team. Riddell knows what Carr can do on the field. Good buddies off the field, I'm sure. And now you're talking about them lining up visits to Notre Dame together. So, like I said, they got Larson committed. They're going to be selective with who they get at that second tight end. Riddell's one to watch. Carter Nelson from Nebraska's one to watch. This is big for Notre Dame to get this kid to South Bend.
Number 1, you said it, Mike, and hey, maybe CJ Carr can be his number 1 recruiter as well. What makes him number 1, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, Trey, the tape doesn't lie. He looks, physically strong. Going downfield, running a post route, like that, catching the ball downfield with that kind of speed. He just looks to me like a big time receiving threat. On these highlight tapes, you don't see a ton of blocking. But if you're going to play tight end at Notre Dame, you have to be able to do that. But yeah, looks to have sure hands, downfield threat. He's got the size. Just looks like the complete breaking tackles. Looks like the complete package at the tight end position.
Notre Dame definitely had some success there with Meyer and others in the past, of course, as well. Riddell, who's listed as number 1, would be a huge addition for that. And thanks for the explanation there on why he is number 1. Why is Auggie number 1? He's got everything. He has everything that you will need to complete your Notre Dame fan cave. Auggie's locker room, if you guys haven't heard about it, you're going to want to listen up here. Notre Dame stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, one-of-a-kind Rockney items, even Joe Montana signed gear. You can find all of this at Auggie's locker room. If you don't live in South Bend, you don't live in the state of Indiana or the surrounding area, go to augieslockerroom.com to check out the full selection of products. Go visit him in person as well, 1811 South Bend Avenue, where you can see his vintage helmet display dating all the way back to 1890. And guys, of course, you can give them a call as well at 574-277-ND. Like I said, the widest selection of Notre Dame memorabilia that you are going to find. And if he doesn't have it, he is going to get it for you. Like I said, guys, visit them, augieslockerroom.com, 574-277-ND, or go visit them in person, 1811 South Bend Avenue. I think we talked about some of your favorite pieces last week, Mike. Anything that catches your eye right here?
Yeah. As you're reading that ad, you probably just see my eyes just bulging in my face. I love just the mix of the old stuff with the Michael Mayer, play like a champion today, and then he signs it. But then Auggie just hits me with this sold out. It kills me. But the flags, the opponent flags that's pretty freaking cool.
That's wow.
Official, a Tennessee Stadium flag, USC, I mean, just how unique of an item. Official Tennessee flag flown at the top of Notre Dame Stadium for opponents acquired during the 96-97 auction. I mean, it's that's pretty stinking cool.
It's just so unique. I mean, you're not going to find stuff like this at Fanatics, wherever else you go. Auggie has it all.
He's the man.
And this is authentic stuff, guys. Joe Montana, helmets, the flags, everything. Go check it out. Auggie's Locker Room. And a big shout out to our friend Auggie for supporting the show. Big shout out to Anthony there in the comments section as well. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you, Anthony.
Get in your questions. We're going to try to get to some of these questions as we begin to wind it down. Before we do that, Mike, this would be a huge commit if they could get it, and a big offer from Notre Dame. The offensive lineman, Ian Moore, out of Ohio State. Is there any shot there?
Yeah, Ohio State commit. This is interesting because Notre Dame offered him, wasn't it like Monday or Tuesday, and the third offensive line offer for Notre Dame to send out post Harry Heaston. I got a sneeze coming along. I'm fighting it off, Trey.
Put your pinky underneath your nose. It's supposed to solve all problems there.
For him being a kid from Indiana, I'm good. I think it's all good. For him being a kid from Indiana and, doesn't get the offer from Notre Dame, he stands out, week later, they offer more. It's kind of continuing to show like that the Notre Dame staff thought highly of some other offensive linemen that maybe Heaston didn't. And I guess whoever the new offensive line coach they're coming in and just being like, all right, these are the guys I guess I'm recruiting, whether that's an external guy or potentially maybe an internal hire with Justin or Chris Watt. We'll just have to see. But yeah, that's a whole side note. It looks like Matt Luke to Notre Dame is not happening. And Notre Dame's just going to continue to move along the offensive line board. But so here's the thing on Ian Moore. When Notre Dame has a kid committed and then they decommit, we're so ticked, right? When Notre Dame goes after a kid committed to another school and they don't flip, we're also ticked, right? We just want Notre Dame to win all these recruiting battles, as talking about Notre Dame Nation. But what about the kid who doesn't flip because he's just loyal? Like he committed to Ohio State. And from what I'm told, like he didn't post this offer from Notre Dame on social media. Like he's not planning to visit Notre Dame. I was even told when he got the offer from Notre Dame, he didn't even talk to an Irish coach. I don't think he's picking up his phone to other schools. Notre Dame had to inform the new Palestine head coach that we're offering Ian. Can you let him know? Because he's not, he's not communicating with us. I'm kind of reading between the lines a little bit there. But yeah. So I think you have to respect it a little bit, hey, he's solid with Ohio State. Like I do think Notre Dame's going to keep working him and hoping, that they can get in there, or, maybe Ohio State has, I don't know if Justin Fry, how long he's going to be there. And like, what if Justin Fry goes and Notre Dame has an opening? So I think you keep them warm. You stop in at his high school, you stop in at one of his Friday night games this fall. You just kind of keep that warm. So if something does happen, that you're looking good there. But yeah, I think you have to respect a kid being committed to a school and then, being solid with it. So, I mean, it's respected from our standpoint. If I'm the Notre Dame staff, they shouldn't respect it. They got to keep going after them. But yeah, kudos to him for giving the word, sticking with it. But again, coaching changes happen. That's then all goes out the window. That's the only way I see something changing here. But yeah, Notre Dame, I think it was probably a deal where they felt it was a travesty to not go ahead and offer him, right? He's in state. I think it's a big time player, highly ranked kid. So yeah, the Irish offered him a few days ago.
So unique. You just never see this in 2023. A kid make a commitment and then put a school on ghost mode. The other schools that are trying to come in and offer here, maybe he's playing hard to get with this Notre Dame coaching staff, but staying solid with Ohio State at the moment. And like you said, it's got to be a funny dynamic, funny to watch, I'm sure, if you're within the coaching staff. Harry Heasan moves on, and then a different mentality instantly with the new guys in charge here. So we'll continue to follow there with Ian, and we'll see if he remains solid with Ohio State. Mike, I see a question in the comment section. I want to get to that in just a minute here. But before you do that, take me a little bit further through this 2024 mock class. Maybe focus in on that wide receiver group that you highlighted there.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to plug this article that I did this past Monday if you missed it. And if you're not a subscriber at Blue and Gold, you definitely should go check it out. But yeah, the first thing when you do a mock class, you can't, like, if I'm told Notre Dame signing 25 guys, or that's at least the plan, for example, I can't put 40 just to say, hey, or to avoid the question of, hey, Mike, where's this guy? Like, where's Justin? I didn't include Justin. Where's Justin Scott? I can't include everybody. So I want to say that if I'm told Notre Dame's taking 3 receivers, there's going to be guys I'm leaving out that Notre Dame's still recruiting. So it's much more of a projection, and not even projection, just kind of an outlook, maybe just to kind of give you a look at kind of where things are at a little bit. It's a fun exercise, these mock classes. I always do it this time, late January, early February. I'll throw out the mock class. So I did it, this Monday for the Gold Standard article. So obviously, I just want to plug the receivers that I logged, or put in this article. Cam Williams committed to Notre Dame. That's obviously the easy one. He's solid despite the Reese change. Yeah, everything looks good there. I did include Emmett Mosley, a player who is pretty familiar with Notre Dame. His father played at Notre Dame, and his mother was on the soccer team, women's soccer team in South Bend. It was about a year ago, close to it. I put in my prediction for Mosley to land with the Fighting Irish. He's talked up other schools a good bit recently. USC, Oregon, I want to say UCLA, maybe Washington, like some of those powerhouses among the Pac-12, if you can say that Pac-12 is powerhouses. But I still like Notre Dame to end up winning the recruitment. Again, I think he's talking up other schools. If I'm Emmett Mosley, I'm probably a little bit ticked that everyone just assumes I'm going to Notre Dame. Like, I want people to know that these Pac-12 schools are a factor for me as well. But, in my opinion, I still believe this one's trending towards Notre Dame. And I mentioned Quasi Gilmer earlier in the show from Southern California. I've got him in the mock class as well. His mom attended UCLA, but from what I'm being, and UCLA is another big contender. It looks like a Bruins versus Fighting Irish battle here. But he's also on that 7-on-7 team with CJ Carr and Jaden Riddell. I believe that he's going to get to South Bend this spring. Nothing set up yet, but he's definitely working on that. It's early, but do like Notre Dame for Quasi Gilmer. So you're talking Cam Williams, Emmett Mosley, Quasi Gilmer in your 24 class potentially, in addition to the outstanding quartet they signed in 2023. That would be pretty good for the Irish.
$29.99, guys. It's going to get you access to articles like this that Mike has craftily put together here, and is going to continue to put together as we approach the end of 2024. $29.99 for blueandgold.com, and you just have to subscribe. That's free to be a part of our comment section today. I see one commenter, one question I want to get to as we close it out here, Mike, from Joe Bro. Wants to know a little bit more about Flowers and other Delmarva talent. Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, the DC Mets. Well, what is Notre Dame doing there right now?
Yeah, so what was it? The 22nd? So I think just Wednesday, Notre Dame sent out an offer to Keyshawn Flowers. So yeah, I would defer to Kyle Kelly at Blue and Gold, our new writer. Super pumped about him. Yeah, he had a story up. Already interviewed him, and you can find this at Blue and Gold. Yeah, so I haven't been covering this one as much. The linebacker board. I think I've said this in a recent show. Like, I think the linebacker board is just going to continue to expand. And it did with Keyshawn Flowers offer, Al Golden getting involved there. But yeah, the DMV in general, there's a lot of guys. that I don't know what it is. I think some of these kids in the DMV just kind of keeping their recruitments a little bit low key. You got Darian Mayo, he's not a big interview guy. Jalen Harvey, the same. Aaron Childs, like all these big time, these linebacker, Viper-ish prospects, just kind of these front seven defensive athletes, as I like to call them. A lot for Notre Dame in the DMV. I'm planning on getting out there this spring. Because again, a lot of these guys don't talk on the phones. You got to head out there to see them in person. That's what I'm planning on doing. But yeah, Keyshawn Flowers, a recent offer for Notre Dame, a player who's rising up on the boards, getting a lot of new offers here recently. So that's what the springtime's for. Junior season's so big for recruiting, or junior year just in general. And you can blow up at any point in your junior year. It could be, during the football season, after your first 3 games, after a big state title game. Or you can just kind of blow up randomly in February, like, players like Keyshawn Flowers or Cole Sullivan. But yeah, junior year is typically kind of the turning point for recruitment.
I'm not 100% sure what mumbo sauce is, but I have a feeling it's also native to that DMV area as well. Joe Bro wants to make sure that you're going to get some of that when you are in the area, Mike.
Mumbo sauce.
I know you're a foodie, so
okay. Condiment developed and popularized in Washington, D.C. takeout restaurants. A red orange sauce similar to barbecue sauce, somewhat sweeter and also somewhat spicier, more sour. Just sign me up.
That sounds perfect.
Sign me up. Oh man, yeah.
We had a 20-minute discussion on all the barbecues last week. Now we're getting the deviations.
I was thinking about you this week, man. I had a Lowe's gift card, and I was at like $46, in my cart. And Lowe's had like a hot sauce. I was like, sure, just add it to my hot sauce cabinet. Jalapeno vinegar, that was kind of the flavor. Oh my gosh, Trey, man, I think I used half the bottle in one meal. I'm a hot sauce aficionado, for sure. Also Taco Bell aficionado, and I'm already planning on getting Taco Bell for dinner tomorrow night. I'm very pumped about it.
If we're talking about fast food Mexican, there is one guy that you can go to for that. And there is one guy that you can go to, the leader in Notre Dame football recruiting. Mike Singer is the answer to both of those questions. And guys, blueandgold.com is your answer for everything going on in the world of Notre Dame football. $29.99. And just a simple click on YouTube to subscribe to our channel as well. Hit that like button for me one more time. On our way out of here, we got a second for the mumbo sauce. So Mike, you're going to have to get some. And guys, get more of Notre Dame football recruiting next Friday as we join you to wrap up the month of February. But until then, for Mike Singer, my name is Trey Hannity. This has been the Notre Dame Recruiting Update. Have a great weekend, everybody.